Of the Note Closure Show. As always, Scott Carson. Happy 2024. Both of you guys are out rocking and rolling, killing it. On today's episode, I want to talk about an article that Redfin released, actually by Dana Anderson, who's a journalist over at Redfin who likes to study real estate trends. And the article is titled, basically talks about how the pandemic-driven migration boom is waning based on the fact that home buyers relocating is at its lowest level in 18 months. Well, I don't necessarily mean it's waning. Yes, it's dropped based on some of the numbers. But what I really liked about the article that I thought you would find more interesting is it lists the top 10 markets that people are moving from and the top 10 markets people are moving to. So, I live in Austin, Texas, and we always joke that Austin is trying to become California East. We get a lot of people moving here, and Austin most of the time is in the top 10 list. Well, it's no longer in the top 10 list of people moving to, which I found interesting. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of today's episode, right? So it talked about how, it literally gave numbers on how many people are moving. One of the biggest surprises is people moving from like San Francisco and where they're moving to. So let's roll about that. So the top 10 metros where home buyers are moving into by their net flow. Net flow mean by the net of positive people moving in versus people moving out. All right. And number one on the list was Sacramento, California, which is kind of a surprise because it's, the top origin of people moving to Sacramento is actually from San Francisco, which that didn't surprise me. If you looked at how crappy San Francisco's gotten lately, people moving out of San Francisco, moving a couple hours away to Sacramento. First of all, homes are much more affordable and going from there. That number is down from 7,000 to 5,100. Now, the second out-of-state origin people are moving to Sacramento from is New York, which I found that kind of surprising. Well, people want to get the hell out of Dodge. Let's move to California where it's affordable. Okay. Second, which isn't a big surprise, is Las Vegas, Nevada. Sin City came in at second, and LA is the top origination where people are moving from. They want to move somewhere where it's more affordable to get things done. And that makes a lot of sense. And a few years ago, there was a big aspect of where folks from like the Oakland area were moving to Las Vegas as Oakland was getting more unaffordable with the growth of San Francisco. Those numbers may have changed a bit. Number three, kind of surprised me, is the Northport or Sarasota part of Florida. And it was the same net inflow, 3,700 people. Las Vegas was actually down from 6,400 to 3,800 in 2023, but that's okay. New York, people moving from New York City to the Sarasota area was number 3 on the list. Number 4 was Cape Coral, Florida, with a whole different influx. It was down just a little bit, which may be due to the hurricane, from 4,000 to 3,700. But the two biggest markets, one is Miami. People from Miami moving to Cape Coral. And so that fast pace of life, they want to move over to Cape Coral, is a little bit more slower paced. And the top out-of-state origin was actually Chicago, Illinois. People want to get out of crazy Chicago and moving down to Cape Coral, okay? Number 5 on the list was Salisbury, Maryland. It actually almost doubled from 2022, from 2,000 to 3,600. The biggest influx is people moving from Washington, D.C. into Salisbury, Maryland. Tied for number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the list was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And that was the same thing. People from the D.C. capital area moving out of that area into Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, okay? Number 7 on the list was Orlando, Florida. And that was basically up a little bit over here from 3,300 to 3,500 in 2023. And the biggest folks moving in from there is from New York. That was kind of a surprise. 8 on the list totally blew me away. It was Portland, Maine. And it's due to the fact that people from Boston, that's right, Boston, you got to say it right with the accent, Boston, Massachusetts, are moving up to Portland, Maine. Maybe it's the same thing, getting out of the hustle bustle of the busy city into something a little bit more laid back. All right. Number 9, not a surprise, been on the top 10 list for a while, Nashville, Tennessee. It was up a little bit, 2,800 to 3,000. And the biggest surprise was people moving, maybe not so much if you think about it, people moving from LA, not Louisiana, Los Angeles into Nashville. That could be due with the music industry, obviously. That was, like I said, 2,800 to 3,000. That was good for number 9 on the list. And number 10, making its first ever appearance on the 10 list, is Spokane, Washington. Those Washington Huskies up in that neck of the woods hit top 10 on the list, up from 2,300 to 2,500 year over year. And people were moving to Spokane from Seattle, which is a couple hours away. People predominantly getting out of the expensive cities of Seattle and moving to something more affordable in Spokane. The next biggest origination of people moving to Spokane came from LA, which really doesn't surprise me. So that's your top 10 list of folks where people are moving to: Sacramento, Las Vegas, Sarasota area, Cape Coral, Florida, Salisbury, Maryland, Myrtle Beach, Orlando, Portland, Nashville, and Spokane. Now, how can we take that information and apply that into our real estate investment? Well, if you're seeing notes in those areas or seeing opportunities in those areas, it may make sense for you to take a look at that. Now, I've been bullish on just looking at this list. I buy in Nevada, I buy in Florida. I have gotten a little cold on Florida based on the insurance, but if you can overcome the insurance side of things, and these are not investment, these are actually homeowners, owner occupants moving in the area, it makes sense. Maryland's okay. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Orlando, Florida, Nashville, Tennessee is overpriced, but I see some stuff there occasionally. So it's not a surprise. Those are the top 10 hot areas where people are moving in. So definitely something to keep an eye on if you're looking to buy real estate of a potential market to invest in, or markets that are just outside of those areas that might make sense for you to keep an eye on. You know, maybe it's not inside, like say Nashville proper, but right on the outskirts, so that might make sense for you. Now, let's talk about where the hell people are getting the hell out of Dodge. All right. Now, LA tops the list of metros. Home buyers are leaving. It's for the first time that's led it. It's been a while there before. It was number 2 last year to San Francisco, but it's changed up again. So let's just go to LA. 26,000 people left LA in 2023. That's down from 30,000 based on 2022. And the top destination they're moving to is Las Vegas, Nevada. Not a surprise. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Number 2 on the list is San Francisco, down from 32,000 to 25,400. And they're moving to Sacramento or Seattle, where it's more affordable in Sacramento. Still expensive in Seattle, but those that, get the heck out of the craziness that's going on there in San Francisco, moving into Seattle. New York City, not a surprise. I've got friends that are moving the heck out of there. They lived there for years, love the city, but it's just becoming, I wouldn't say it's down because of the pandemic. It's just that with all of the, immigrants and people there, people crossing the border there, New York City is really becoming unbearable for a lot of folks if you live in proper New York City. Now, if you live like in Queens or other places, not Manhattan or stuff like that, outside of it, people aren't seeing a lot. But if you're in New York City, definitely that's up from just under 21,000 to just under 25. And where they moving to? Viva la Miami. They're moving to Miami, Florida, for the most part. That's not been a surprise in a lot of cases. Number 4 is our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., down from 16,000 to 13,000 on the list this year. They're moving, like we said before, to Salisbury, Maryland. Seattle, Washington this was a big surprise. Big surprise in 2023, where only like 1,300 people left Seattle. It's now up to just under 12,000 people getting the heck out of Seattle, and they're moving to Spokane. They're locally a couple hours away, or they're moving down to Phoenix, where things are a little bit more affordable. That was a big surprise number on it. Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City. People want to get the heck out of that crazy city, down to Cape Coral, Florida. That's up from 7,100 to 7,600. Next on the list was, as I talked about, Little Chowda, Boston, Massachusetts. They're moving to Portland, Maine. That's down from 6,100 to 5,000. Next on the list is a market that's been really kind of booming, though. That's kind of surprised to see this, is Philadelphia. Where if you're born and raised in the playgrounds where you spent most of your days, that number's increased from 1,300 to 3,000 people getting the heck out of Philadelphia, and they're moving down to Salisbury, Maryland, similar with the folks from D.C. 9 on the list, Detroit, Motor City. People, and this was the big surprise. I don't know if it's got to do with politicians or what it is, but it decreased from 3,400 people to 2,100 people leaving Detroit. But where are they moving to? D.C. Maybe it's politicians. I don't know what it is, but they're moving to the nation's capital when a lot of people are getting the heck out of there, which is kind of surprising. But anyway, number 10 on the list was kind of surprised. That's Denver, Colorado. And where are they moving to? Surprise, surprise, Chicago, Illinois. So you've got some influx, maybe looking at, maybe it's probably industries that may be moving their headquarters or things like that. But that was a very surprising thing. Okay. Now, if you take a look at number one, Sacramento list, where are they moving to Sacramento from? Well, San Francisco's number one on the list, LA's number two, New York number three, Visalia, California is four, and San Diego is five. So it's obviously, for the most part, people moving to Sacramento for industry and stuff like that, for the most part. So I found this valuable. Like I said, I'll put the link in the actual chat roll for you guys to take a look. Not in the chat roll, but in the description, so you can read it, watch it, maybe use the article for yourself when it comes to maybe sharing with your network and stuff like that, especially if you're in one of those markets that was even mentioned. I mean, if you think about it, if you're in one of those areas where people are moving from, you may want to consider that. Or if you're living in an area where people are moving to, may need to take some time to take a look at if you've owned real estate in that neck of the woods, or if you've got any type of investments in those markets where people are moving out of. It maybe makes sense for you to look at maybe liquidating before it gets too crazy. I know some folks, some friends of mine that are like in Seattle area and stuff like that, they've been liquidating stuff out of Oregon and for a little bit to move, or Washington State and Oregon State as well, to kind of get things to a better spot, a little bit more landlord lender friendly. So hopefully this is valuable for you. Top 10 markets where people are moving from or where they're moving to. Check it out. If you like the episode, feel free to comment in the comment section. As always, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel out there. Thank you for helping make us the number one podcast and the number one YouTube channel for note investors everywhere. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you all at the top.